Greetings, my colony members. I bring breaking news. A faction of our Raptor Ant brethren has defied expectations, building a new civilization along the waters of the Hydrania River. They have adapted by forming a mutualistic bond with the floating lilies, slowly evolving into semi-aquatic ants. But their expansion comes at a cost. They are encroaching upon our northern hunting grounds, threatening the stability of our great kingdom. Will this rising power be crushed under our might, or will they drive us from our own land? The tides of war are shifting. How will our colony survive?
The Queen's decree was clear. Our scouts were to gather intelligence on the rising threat lurking within the marshlands. And now, the report is in. A new force has emerged, one that thrives where land and water meet. They call themselves Raptor paludicollis, or swamp ant. Their name reveals much about their nature. Paludo comes from the Latin word for swamp or marsh, signifying their semi-aquatic lifestyle. Raptor, meaning thief or hunter, reflects their lineage as predatory ants. Paludicollis, meaning swamp dweller, hints at their deep-rooted adaptation to this watery domain. Their bodies are formidable, stretching up to 60 centimeters in length, standing 30 centimeters tall, and weighing up to 12 kilograms. Their exoskeleton is unlike ours, thick, wax-coated, and highly water-resistant, shielding them from the relentless moisture of their semi-aquatic home. Their colors, a mix of deep greens and earthy browns, blend seamlessly with the floating lilies and dense marsh vegetation, allowing them to vanish into the landscape. But it is not just their form that makes them dangerous. They have adapted. Their legs are longer and stronger, built for wading through the mire and propelling them through water. Some of their limbs have become partially webbed, enabling swift movement through flooded terrain. Their clawed feet grip onto slick surfaces, allowing them to traverse floating vegetation with ease. Their antennae are hypersensitive, capable of detecting chemical signals even in water, an advantage that makes them deadly hunters. Their mandibles, serrated and curved, are designed for tearing apart both aquatic plants and living prey. Their breathing system is just as specialized. Their spiracles seal shut underwater, preventing drowning, while internal air sacs store oxygen, allowing them to stay submerged for up to an hour. And their deadliest trait? A venom that dissolves in water, swift, paralyzing, and inescapable. And then there is their fortress. Our scouts have seen it, a floating stronghold, woven from the dense roots and leaves of the Hydrania water lily. Their home rises and falls with the water levels, untouched by the shifting tides. Hidden beneath the broad leaves, their colony remains unseen by aerial predators, and their hunting grounds, the very flowers they protect. The Paludoraptors are patient killers. They lie in wait among the vegetation, blending perfectly with their surroundings. When the moment is right, they strike with lethal precision. Some of them even dive beneath the surface, storing oxygen before launching a silent underwater pursuit. Their venom finishes the hunt before their prey can react.
This is what awaits us, a rival kingdom growing stronger by the day. But we are raptor ants. We do not yield, we will prepare. And when the time is right, we will strike.
Our forces were prepared, advancing toward the enemy's stronghold with determination. The fortress was in sight when suddenly an ambush erupted from the dense vegetation at our flank. Enemy soldiers emerged from the undergrowth, striking swiftly before retreating into cover. The surprise attack caught many of our warriors off guard. Regrouping, we pushed forward across the lily pad bridges, closing in on the enemy's domain. Without warning, soldiers emerged from beneath the water, pulling some of our troops below the surface. At the gates, royal guards stood in formation, blocking our entry. Behind them, the entrance was reinforced with a wall of leaves and mud, carefully constructed for defense. A fierce struggle began as our forces attempted to break through. Then, another surprise. Enemy forces struck from behind, emerging from hidden tunnels within the forest. Meanwhile, our warriors trying to breach the barricade found themselves in a well-laid trap. The structure collapsed, briefly disorienting them as the royal guards pressed their attack. Suddenly, the battlefield itself shifted. The lily pads beneath us moved, throwing our formation into disarray as several warriors were plunged into the water. From below, underwater soldiers engaged, using their venomous stingers to weaken our troops. With the battle turning against us, the remaining forces retreated to safety, carrying news of the skirmish back to the Queen. The enemy had defended their stronghold well, and now the future of our kingdom must be carefully decided. At North Forest Outpost, our colony thrives on harvesting nectar from plants like sticky nectar moss and water oak tree. The area also serves as a hunting ground, attracting herbivores that graze on its vegetation. One of our scouts detected movement along the river, but upon closer inspection, it appeared to be nothing more than fallen leaves drifting atop a lily pad. However, as the debris neared the shore, the truth became clear. It was a raft, carefully constructed by the Swamp Ant Kingdom. A squad of their soldiers disembarked, launching a sudden assault. Their sheer size alone gave them a significant advantage over our workers, allowing them to overpower and drive them back with ease. Our soldiers quickly arrived to reinforce the outpost, engaging the enemy in battle. However, instead of continuing their attack, the Swamp Ant forces began retreating, luring our troops into pursuit, right into a carefully laid trap. As soon as our forces stepped beyond the safety of the outpost, the ground beneath them collapsed into a hidden mud pit, swallowing them whole. Struggling to regain footing, our soldiers found themselves at a severe disadvantage, while the enemy took the opportunity to strike using their venomous stingers. Their tactics were clear. They wore down their opponents first, waiting for exhaustion to set in before delivering their finishing blows. Sensing the danger, our forces attempted to fall back, but the battlefield had already shifted against us. Emerging from concealed mud pits, additional swamp ant warriors launched a surprise attack, dragging our remaining troops into the thick mire. Outnumbered and overwhelmed, our forces suffered heavy losses. Fortunately, before the last of our troops fell, a pheromone distress signal successfully reached North Forest Outpost 2, summoning reinforcements that might just turn the tide of this war. Not long after receiving the pheromone signal from North Forest Outpost, our forces swiftly mobilized for a counterattack. The scout's message was clear: avoid the mud and water. To outmaneuver the enemy's traps, we advanced from a direction farther from the river, treading carefully to avoid hidden pitfalls. Yet, despite our caution, swamp ants emerged from beneath the mud, pulling some of our warriors into the sinking terrain. But this time, we were prepared. Our soldiers reacted swiftly, countering the ambush before it could fully unfold. The enemy's tactic had failed. Soon, reinforcements arrived from both sides, and a full-scale battle erupted. This time, we had the advantage in numbers. With coordinated strikes, our warriors overpowered the enemy, forcing them into retreat. The remaining swamp ants fled toward their rafts, hoping to escape, but our forces were faster. Some of them fell before they could reach safety, though a few managed to get away. At last, victory was ours. Yet, the battle is not over. The Lily River must be reclaimed so we can secure our path north.
Prepare yourselves, warriors. the fight for our future is far from finished.
This time, we launched another attack on their main stronghold. Our scouts signaled that the enemy was hiding within the dense vegetation, so we advanced cautiously, knowing an ambush could happen at any moment. As expected, a sudden assault erupted from the shadows. But this time, we were ready. Our forces countered immediately, turning the tide. The exposed enemies fell in the skirmish. We charged across the lily pad fields, once again entering the treacherous terrain we had long feared. Staying in tight formation, we defended against every ambush, ensuring we wouldn't be caught off guard. Battles in the lily pad zone always come with losses, but we pushed forward, storming toward the fortress gates, determined to break through. Suddenly, the swamp ants flanked us from behind. We held our ground, refusing to give in. With relentless effort, our forces breached the mud wall, and fortunately, we evaded the collapsing debris. Without hesitation, we rushed into the enemy stronghold, engaging in fierce combat. The battle inside the fortress intensified, but this time, we had the advantage in numbers. The enemy was overwhelmed. Then, an unexpected tremor shook the structure. Slowly, the fortress began to drift. The swamp ants had severed its connection to the lily roots, allowing the floating castle to drift away with the current. Panic spread through our ranks. We had to get out. Without wasting a moment, we leaped into the river and swam to safety. Victory was ours. We had secured the northern territory, forcing the enemy to retreat along with their drifting stronghold.
But this battle was only one chapter in a longer war. They may return, stronger than before. Our triumph today was hard fought, but the lilies will not always favor us. We must always be prepared for what comes next. Meanwhile, the swamp ant kingdom drifted along with the current, carried by the river's flow, until they reached a location that seemed safe, an area where lily colonies thrived, providing stability and shelter. The surroundings were rich with abundant food sources, making it an ideal place to settle. Without hesitation, the workers began securing their floating fortress, skillfully anchoring it to the lily colony, ensuring its stability against the shifting waters. Here, their civilization flourished at an even greater pace, fueled by the plentiful hunting grounds that lay before them. Among the many creatures inhabiting these waters, the aquatic herbivores of the Hydrania River roamed, marking the presence of yet another vital resource in their growing empire.